shipment. Further, determine the merits of the shipping container with the loading of the bracing method, specifically provide with the classification, except for the provide with the Rule 49. The shipment of the fresh fruit with the fresh fish will show the shipment, the purpose of the examination of the experimentation, the test, the direction for the supervision of the National Freight with the community. Railroad Freight Committee, but they will accept the transportation without the except for the increase of the job with the provide with the Rule 5 of the Section 3, Rule 4 with the Rule 41, Section 1, Rule 51, with the increase of the chain with the cover with the provide with the governing rule with the tariff. Rate of tariff. The owner of the following condition: written with the quote for the shipment must be made by the chairman of the National Railroad Freight Committee, with the will to give the belief with the description, ship with the container, with the loading, brief, the benefit of the test, with the laboratory, with the test, make with the conduct, with the result of the test. Such test should be subject to the sort of the each of the required for the application for the test shipment. The permit should not be submitted at least should be submitted at least 2 weeks before the test and the shipment the can commence. If opinion of the National Railroad Freight Committee is for the container, loading, and brief, the method of the utilization of the merit with the wear and warrant of the test, the chairman will issue with the authorized receipt of the transportation shipment the rate with the by this provided rule. Agent of the point of the origin of the before with the acceptance shipment may have the possession of the copy of the permit authorizing testing shipment with the issue with the sign of the chairman of the National Railroad Freight Committee. With the shipment that contains the loading and the bracing method, the you with each of the which for the permit issue, they do not for the form of the quorum of the classification, in effect with the day of the shipment, the you with the election of the shipment agree with the exception of the transportation, each shipment that shall have the case of the law for the damage of the injury property be held together with the prejudice without prejudice any of the defendant for the carrier, after the insufficient packaging, loading, brief of the method, default with the shipment and otherwise. The following notation must be made with the shipping order with the bill of landing and the way bill with the test shipment in accordance with the rule with the UFC with the Rule 49 permit number with the shipment with the mixture with the authorized packet for the test and container shipment must include the shipping paper the number of the test container that include with the shipping and the such shipment. Each of the package must be prominent marked with the testing container permanent number that must be shown with each of the such marking shipment must furnish the National Railroad Freight Committee with the information regarding the shipment they made with the term of the rule with the gauge for the number of the shipment, the number of the test for the container with the destination upon addition upon with the arrival of the warecraft to do so with the must furnish for the copy of the bill of the landing when the article shipped the container with the kind but did not provide with the classification when the article is located with the brand brief of the band but did not provide with the classification applicable rates will be certain from Rule 5 without application agree with the charge then provided in the article that shipped the container with the kind with the provide with the classification but with it does not fully comply with the requirements of Rule 41, 41, 51 with the construction metal package within code with the ceiling with the increase with the charge with the Rule 5, Section 4, Rule 41, Section 1, Rule 51 or increase with the change with the provide with the government rate if there is such a thing applying with the no apply. Agent at the point of the origin must retain with the original permit. It says the way of the applicable the testament manner of the provision rule will be the same as one with the packaging with the container, same general type of the capacity has stored in the container is referred to. Empty, Rule 50, shipping container for the reconditioning of the carload shipment. Empty shipping container for the next with the total weight of 100 pounds may be included with the tray with the make for the carload shipment for the commodity with the issue for the shipping containers may be above the weight of the such each empty shipping container shall not be used with the make up the minimum weight. The rate applied with the weight of the such empty shipping containers of the highest carload rating, the rating applicable to any of the commodity in such shipping containers contained in the car. Alright, Rule 51, fiber barrel of the drum with the pail with the grease-proof, waterproof tube. The barrel of the drum with the pail with the grease-proof, with the waterproof tube. It's Section 1, supervision provision of the Rule 5, unless I would provide the separate description of the article of the Department of Transportation Rules of Regulations of the published for the urgency, LA with the Carol chair with the number of the BOE 6000 series. Refer to the Rule 39 of the following requirement specification comply with the rail rates with apply with the article of the barrels, drums, pails, and tub with which will apply with the same article of the fiber, the barrel, the drum, with pail, and tub with the style of the described in this rule, respectively, unless otherwise provided in separate description and article of the article is with the transportation fiber board with the dive drum with pail with the grease-proof tube tubs and requirements of specification of the rule for the not fully comply with the freight charge and will be increased with 20% of the any quantity, 10% of the carrier load with the minimum increase with the 35% with the 100 pounds above the chargeable applicable any of the on shipment that contain that do conform with the provision of this rule. Barrel and drum with pail with the tubs made it must be reused for shipment of authorized commodities except when the containers are adequate for the use that intend with the will protect with as effectively as new containers. The ship eyeballs constructed with more than one ply conveniently wound, no single ply would be less than 12,000 inch thickness plies that must be firmly glued together. Outer ply with the sidewall top of the bottoms must be water resistant. Rule 51 continued on the next page. Fiber barrels and drum with the dry solid article with the Section 2 fiber board drums and dry solid article with the must conform with the following requirement specifications and they show for the table. Note 1, caddy the Mullen testing method of the fiber content component of the either following test method may be used with a symbol apply with the test determine the summation of the test and individual applies or in test may be the completely drum the puncture ship may be the exterior of the interior surface and cave of the valve used over the sidewall should not be less than 80% of the value with the above the table. There should be a minimum of 6 depth. The average should not be less than the prescribed minimum. The requirements are no 3 of the bottom of the may be constructed with no steel not thinner than 30 gauge for the combined paperboard with a minimum thickness of 110 thousandths of an inch. Mill and test with not less than 400 pounds. The bottom 4 no 4 of the bottom with constructed steel line with 30 gauge will become on with a paperboard that have the minimum thickness of 140 thousandths of an inch. Mill and test not less than 550 pounds. No 5. The minimum requirements of the sideboard wall with the top bottom of the, governed by either way of the conform content of the firming with the capacity of the second column of the limitations called for the higher minimum requirements. Top of the bottoms must be fastened sign wall to provide the tight seal with a stand ordinary hand with the shipping with the shown with the signs of sifting and law for the any of the contents. Top of the bottom of the made with the fiberboard wooden segments and then reinforcement conservative circumferences not less than a quarter inch of the half inch thick and not less than 1 1/4 inch wide with between the segment of the fiberboard not less than the same test as the shell. Fiberboard, pails, and tubes in dried and solid articles. Section 3, fiberboard, pails, and tubes, dried solid articles must conform with the following requirements. Specification note 1, 3, 4, and 5 of Section 2, paragraph B of Section 2. Alright, the fiberboard pail with the tub with the grease proof with the waterproof solid semi-solid article with the same requirement. The specification of the Section 3 with the exterior, except for the interior with the pail with the must be aligned with the tree with the prevention with the material of the pail and tube with the infill with the shipping with the fiberboard, the drum with the seal, semi-liquid article, semi-liquid the other article with non-dry. Section 5. The term semi-liquid is defined as referring to the article with the minimum capacity of 500,000 centiposes with a temperature of 100 degrees Fahrenheit of the article. Shipped under the refrigeration with the cover of the capacity measure for the shipping temperature of the article to contain the solid material of the perspective of the buffet of the separation concept of the articles and semi-liquid viscosity measurement determine the liquid component of the present of the amount of the grade of them not more than 10% of the weight of the viscosity. They should be determined the viscosity of the Brookfield type of the equivalent with a number 4 spindle rotated at 20 RPM with the rating or more of the instrument given the equivalent measurement. Fiberboard with the drop of the liquid article, the semi-liquid, the other article with the non-drop of the image must be treated with the process of the provide proof with the equipped with a plastic film bag liner to prevent any of the absorption content of the sidewall, top of the bottom, but must conform with all the specification of the requirements section 1 and 2 with the rule with the exemption minimum depth of the sidewalls must be not less than fiberboard drum that conform with the requirements of the section must be either dry and solid articles. Alright, fiberboard drum with liquid with articles in liquid. Section 6 with the fiberboard drum with articles liquid must conform with the following requirements with the specification gallon capacity that are not net with the sufficient outage of the must be provided with the drums filled with the net capacity of the water will stand with the leakage of the tip of the over the fall with the cover of the chimney with the not solid with the crude form with the diagonal drop of the bottom chimney with the sufficient with the bottom chimney with the 500 pounds per impact. Except for the maximum height of the drop, the 90 with the 2 feet with the minimum height of the drop, no less than 1 foot of the drums conform with the requirements such sections may be used with the semi-liquid and other articles, not with the dry or dry solid article. With the articles of authorized type of the construction, NA not authorized, and then it goes into Section 6. No 5.5. The drums will not exceed with 6,600 pounds, but not over 700 pounds, with up to 75 gallon capacity by the sidewall with at least 1,200 psi. But it does not construct the one of the following way: with the metal reinforced with the shame band with the must be crimped to each of the top of the bottom of the sidewall plastic tube with the form of the outer wood outwards directly. Ship the integrally incorporated fiber sidewall with the plastic with the metal heading with the equipped with the resilient plastic rubber gasket form with the requirements section 6, note 9, section 2, but it must be with the bottom heading, but it must be attached with the bottom shim with the band with the seated on the tight leaves closure band with the nets weight with the 550 pounds above the drum construction style sidewall string with the table above the plastic heading may be secured with the either head of the lever actuated locking band. Except for the grade with the allowed with the net weight with the capacity of the drum to construct within corners of the rule 51, section 6, with type 2A. 600 pounds weight with a fiberboard must have the minimum of the thickness of the 240,000th inch minimum burst depth of the 1500 psi with the T and with type 1A interior drum must be lined with a so treated with the present with the material with the drum is filled with the ship to note 7 type 2A top of the must be permanently secured with the form such with the light tight liquid tight for juncture if and the removal must be fast with the ring lock method of the removal of the top of the cover that must be equipped with the rubber resilient plastic gasket with the effect with the liquid tight seal with the monster with the metal plastic pung closure, sidewall bottom head with the provide with the interior line with the barrier with the so form an integral part of the drum to prevent liquid penetration and so drum with the bottom of the shim with the liquid tight juncture. Note 8, type 3A and 3BL, 3BH fiber drums equipped with a semi-rigid polyethanol insert with the wood shop with the fully open with the head construction conforming the type requirements of type 3A with the molded closed head construction having not more than the 2 opening for the 2 head no larger than 2 and 3 and 2.3 inch of the conform with the requirement of type 3BL and 3BH insert with the shapes Shade being made of the polyethylene, which have the following properties: melt index of 2.6 with a density with a 910,000 to 925,000, tensile strength with a 1500 psi minimum, percent elongation 400% minimum. Type 3A fiber to drum that must be fully removable at the top of the cover to lock the device without the metal with a plastic plug with a cap closure no more than 2 closure for the no larger than 2.3 of the inch compartment of the cover must be equipped with a rubber resilient plastic gasket with effect with a liquid tight seal. Fiber drums must be equipped with a molded, fully open, semi-rigid polyethylene insert for the conforming of the drum contour. Minimum thickness insert should be 15,000 inch conformance with the following requirements: minimum thickness for the polyethylene inserts, and explanation for the thickness of the measurements and location diagram. Alright, section 6 concluded. Concluded. Type of the 3B fiber to drum that must be permanently secured to the top of the cover over the removal of the top of the cover that should be locked the device with it without plastic caps or plugs for the opening of the top of the cover the permanent of the polyethylene insert for the neck of the flange, but with no more than 2 closure for the neck seat and 2.3 inches for no more than 2 opening neck flanges permanent at the top of the cover of the filmed fiber drum that must be equipped with a molded over the head polyethylene insert that have not more than 2 closure opening top head no longer than 2.3 inches. Thickness requirements shall meet the following schedule. And no 8.5. Type 4 drum with the integrally lined with a maximum of the 55-gallon capacity filled with water tube rated with the capacity that must be capable of taking 4-foot drop without the cell of the diagonal, the top of the bottom of without failure. But don't single the drum, which will be sure that more than 1/10 of the head and half of the performance level of the construction minimum, the weight with the maximum will be not subject to the above the table. The certificate maker with the required with the fiber board drum the section 7 with this rule amended with the weight of the top of the drum with 4A with the load of the sidewall 10 of the pounds per square inch, the net weight limit of the pounds. 9 plastic top of the cover that may be constructed with the injection molded to high density polyethanol, polyethanol, homopolyethanol, polymer, and minimum thickness for the construction is valid. There's 9,000 inch mold with a 2 more concentric with the reinforced ring with a 1/8 of an inch in depth, or 125,000 inch mold with 1 more with a concentric ring with a ring with a 3/8 of an inch in depth, or 160,000 of an inch mold with 1 or more concentric and reinforced ring with a medium with 1/8 of the depth of the weight of the not exceed the 225 pound with the capacity not over the 20.5 gallons closure that must be effective with the level of the rock ring of the lid 24 gauge metal, or 90,000 of an inch filament with the inside of the top of the diameter of the drum that must be securely melted switched to the drum side of the wall of the type 3BL with the fiber drum with the 15 gallons of capacity. The liquid article of the liquid of the cover of the must be equipped with a gasket effective with the liquid light type seal of the cover that must be completely secured with the cover closed by the levered block locking ring with the endless band with the roll with the top of the bond side wall of the cover. The shine of the band with the rings must be thin within 22 inch gauge of the metal with except for the provided paragraph 3 above it and cover the head and snapping with fitting lock. Note 10. Fiber drums meet with the rule of the IC with the 20.5 gallon with the capacity may have the cover the bottom secured with the construct with the polyethanol polypropylene and polyethanol with a minimum of the 60 mils thickness. Cover of the bottom must be secured fast. And rule 51 continue on the next page. Our certificate bearer over the drum of the pail with the toe blank with the section 7A with the fiber drum with the pail with the toe with the top with the conform with the requirement with the specification for the rules must be the certificate maker shown with the two does conform with the certificate must have with the form with the top of the wording with the note level with the figures that insert with the illustrate with the portion purpose only they must conform with each of the case with the requirements section 2 and 3 with the dry solid with the article with the section 4 with the semi-solid articles, section 5 semi-liquid articles, semi-liquid the other dry articles, and section 6 liquid or articles in liquid. Certificate of the maker of the fiber drum with the one with the requirements of applicable to freight classification with the dry and solid article with the sidewall tip of the 900 pounds per square inch and the net weight of the limit over the 400 pound of the name, the insert bank of the name of the address. All aspect of the expect for the maker of the name of the address with the name of the Gothic ATF the 14-point cap of the condensed for the maker with the name of the 18-point cap of the condensed for the maker's address with the 12-point stamp with all numerals to be 14-point Franklin Gothic 162 ATF for the pail of the tube of the complying with the section 4 of the word semi-solid liquid must be inserted to the certificate replaced with the word for the dry and solid articles. From dry complying with section 5 of the semi-liquid, there must be inserted the certificate replaced with the dry and solid article with the drum complying with the section 6 with the word liquid at the top of the number of the drums must be inserted with the certificate replaced with the word dry and solid articles. The word drum and the barrel, they all usually interchange with the meat with the straight side of the cylindrical shape of the container with the pail with the top of the certified with the must use the lid with the drum and the fiber of the wood pail with the barrel with the drum with the pail with the tube is must not authorized by the rule authorized pack with the number of the sum of the other particular article that must be beneath with the certificate following certification letters less than 3/16 of an inch high. Also comply with the package number, the number of the fiber number not 11, the fiber word drum that have been painted with the side below over the wrap. By paper, the shipper and with the complying with the requirements of classification have the drum the maker with the certificate required with the certification. Certificate is not visible before we cover the painting over rapidly may BU with the drum bearer with the following certificate over the shipper. The certificate of the shipper, the drum bearer, manufacturer certificate required by the applicable freight classification, which have been painted over and over the wrap with the paper to insert shipper's name and address. Alright, 54. Shipments on multi-level flat cards. Unless otherwise provided the classification tariff of the government thereby with all the published rate with the applicable minimum weight but not applicable the shipment to do with the moving on multiple level flat card with the charge with the shipment to be found with the transportation not compliant with the provision paragraph A of the will be determined the following manner with the blood the provision shall be construed with the provided with the rates should not be used with the basis of the quoting when in advance of the shipment. The first determine the in-haul line in charge of the base of the charge with the applicable and ship to the app with the multiple level car weight subject minimum weight with the car with the greatest length of which rates are provided. Charges will be applied shipment and transport with the multiple level cars with the twice and line haul with the charge that determined in paragraph set 1. Section Rule 55, method of denoting reissued material, reissued matter in supplement is applicable in one conjunction with the classification supplement thereto with the mentioned matter with the floor with the chain with the one supplement to and another designated with the reissue with the reference amount with the form with the square enclosed number with the letter with the number of the letter and capable with the interest rate supplement with the number of the letter being supplement in which the reissue of the material matter is first appeared in the currently effective form to determine the original effective of the date when the consult with the supplement with the reissue matter that firstly became effective. Rule 57, the hazardous material orientation from points outside of Canada, designated points outside of Canada, which are transported through Canada via Canada National Railroad. Definition within the share of the following definition shall be applicable to the ridge share or after green with the transportation move with the original outside of the can with the final destination with the outside of the can with the routing include with the transportation within standards dangerous goods mean with the goods material with the classified with the transportation purposes with the dangerous good with the Canada generally refers to as material in the United States. B. Transportation dangerous good within Canada with the transportation dangerous good within Canada subject to the transportation good with the Act of 5 within statute with the A of the Canada 1985 the chapter T 19 with the DTGA Transportation Dangerous Good Act. The regulation made with the presumed legislation of the regulation of the Transportation Good, Dangerous Good Act, with the regulation amended with the Transportation Canada complying with the operation of the brief, the Transportation Dangerous Good Directive for the Transportation Canada 344 Slater Street, Ottawa, Ontario, Canada K1A095. Emergency Response Assistance Planning. Section 715, 1719 regulation requiring the emergency response planning with the summary to be available to the Transportation Canada in respect of the Transportation Canada, certain the dangerous good, and certain the specified quantity with the particular described within Schedule 6 X11 of the regulation. The idea the emergency response plan summary required of the Transportation dangerous good ready for the traffic regulation with the specified with the emergency response plan with the summary required with the be filled, but there's no ship with the consignment with the Canada with the carrier the transport the bridge traffic. And the Canada responsible for ensuring that the emergency response plan summary has been filled with the Transportation Canada. Alright, the Canadian National will not transport bridge traffic without the emergency response plan with the plan. Some of the Canadian National Railways require the shipper to file with the emergency response plan. Some of the behalf of the Canadian National Railways when the dangers go to the route with the Canadian National Railway line with the bridge of traffic emergency response plan. Some of the require to be filled with the Canadian National to transport the dangers go to the bridge traffic and left with the documentation relating with the shipment. You give the number of proof of the emergency response plan. Summary with the applicable specified commodity with describing the additional shipping and documentation. F. The additional information. If the additional information is required with respect to the regulations and the requirements for the filing with the emergency response plan with the summary, please contact the director of the Danish Good Operate for the Canadian Headquarters at 935 D. La Garache Street, West, Ontario, Quebec, Canada, H3B2M29, telephone 514-335-430. Alright, capacities and dimension, Rule 59. Except for the otherwise provided with the item 45 of the subject area for the scope of the classification for the mark capacity, length of the dimension for the cubical capacity for the cover of the official railway equipment, registered for the RER 6413, the share with no, see with no, when rates published for the individual carrier, the agent for the tariff, the subject of the minimum weight base of the mark with the capacity for the cover of the mark capacity, except for the visual equipment, the rear of the column A with the low of the weight with the shown in the column B with the B, instead of the mark capacity to determine the minimum weight. See exemptions column A 80,000 pounds, 100,000 pounds, 140,000 pounds, column B 88,000 pounds, 110,000 pounds, 154,000 pounds. Carriers may not exceed the excessive load limit of the minimum weight provided with the rule with the not exceed the 9% of the load limit of the car furnished for the freight chart will determine the actual weight of the shipment but not less than 95% of the load limit. The bill of lading must be endorsed to show the load of the limit of the car used. Exemption provisions will not apply with the connection from the rates of minimum weight of the coal and coke with the direct for the product with the coal with the origination station of the north-south fork, I believe. NS. Shipping requirements: a special flat car of the carload and any quantity shipment required by the use of the railroad owned flat car with the capacity to designate over the FW, FD, FG with the car with the official equipment register of the RER number 6413 railroad owned flat car with the nominal capacity of 190,000 pounds greater the designation FM car with the other publication. Each of the such flat cars subject to the minimum charge of 15,000 pounds at class 100 rate. All right, Rule 61, method of determining weight of the public cubic foot. The surface and the weight of the public weight per cubic foot with the multiplicator of 3 extremity dimension of the article is space for the package of the shipment of the result of the cubic inch of the divided by 1,728 through the reduce of the cubic feet, and then divide by the weight of the number of the cubic feet by thus ascertained. All right, prepaid shipment. On prepaid shipment, the origination for the carrier may require the tender of the shipment the company with the full payment of the charge unless for the consignment that is travel to grab the satisfaction of the origination for the carrier for the purpose of the item and the prepaid shipment the office shall be made the shipment with the origination carrier with the bearer of the billing and the collection of the responsibility of the collection shipment. On collect shipments to deliver the carrier may require the full payment of all the charge prior to deliver the shipment unless for the consignment has established the credit satisfaction delivery of the carrier for the purpose of the item of the collection of them and shall be with the shipment with the delivering the carrier with the bearer of the mailing and the collection responsibility payment. All credit paid from the must be chained with the charge with the court for the determined staff with the billing with the carrier with the union where in the Union Pacific Railroad Company the bail carrier with the certified period over the 15-day with the including the salary some of the illegal holidays shall be given with the day of the following presentation of the freight bill. The term of the freight bill will include with the paper, the document, the billing, electronic data, the interchange with the invoice for the receipt of the presentation of freight bill must shall be deemed to have made with the upon the mailing with the mailing when mailed with the upon saying with the carrier with the transmission of the electronic data interchange billing is due with the unless they otherwise agree with upon way bill date with the invoice with the procedures are utilized with the payment should be made with the deemed to be have made with the upon the maintenance mailing of the acceptance for the check with the draft of the money with the other order making when paying by mail or upon the receipt of the phone of the carrier's bank account when paying of the fee for the electronic transmission. The offset prohibit. In no event shall any amount with the code and claim against the Union Pacific Railroad Company include with no limitation with the freight law with the damage done over the employment of the freight with the over the charges deduct for the offset with again for the freight with the other charges due here under. The freight charge of the due must be made with a paid in full and any claim against the Union Pacific Railroad Company must be asserted separately in accordance with the applicable procedure. 5. Revocation of credit and other remedy. If the credit patrons have failed to pay in accordance with these requirements of the Union Pacific Railroad Company and sole discretion may revoke the credit privilege of the institute any one of the following procedures. The requirement of the applicable freight charge of the prepaid with the consignment who shall not be such for the patron on all shipments existing to such a patron. Section 7 of the bill allowing execute of the billing party will not apply with such shipment. The requirement of the applicable freight charge of the be laid paid on collective basis for the consignment who shall not be such a patron. All shipments origination with such patron. Assessment of the demurrage charge of the rail car of the place for the whole staff of the cash for the written rail cards are held in transit with the due with the cash staff at the time. Demurrage for the purpose of the compute the first one 12 o'clock. 12 p.m. midnight following the sending of the given notice of all of their air arrival. The railway will be relieved at the time lawful to drive to receive it again with the agent Union Pacific Railway agent of the railroad that had participated in the transportation transaction. However, such a payment of all of the charge of the receipt of the U.S. mail it will be considered that have been received at 12 o'clock midnight the day received. Sure, the billing requested of the ancient but they have the shipment that has occurred with the shall not alter any of the liberty of this rate of the charge in accordance with this paragraph. Alright, and this is credit and collection terms up, and the last one is other definitions of this item. The term ship they include without limitation consignment of the freight for with the ship the association ship the game of the charge of the freight. Charges include without limitation transportation charges with the charge of the demurrage detention and other assertion charge that may accrue in the connection shipping with the Union Pacific Railroad, this company. This was your National Railroad Committee rules, 6000 series. And this was the Index Uniform Freight Classification 6000 Armed National Railroad Committee Rules.